through like my Google Hangout chat, but it wasn't coming, so I just logged onto my email and saw the link there.
Okay. So was it Cassie that was saying she can't join tonight?
Yeah,
okay.
I think so.
Okay. So Selena, I hope I didn't miss. Does yours say live in the top corner?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go ahead and get started. The first thing that we need to do is go over, kind of like last time, we just summarized the model that we're talking about this week. And we can use that infographic that she gave us to kind of, it says guide your explanation. So,
Okay.
is there anyone that wants to start, or want me to start?
Sorry, I'm getting to the instructions right now.
Okay.
So this is it starts with pre-contemplation, right? That's what we're going over.
Pre-contemplation?
Yeah.
So pre-contemplation, like that's the very first one. So that's them like not even thinking about making a change or anything like that. Like that's like them just kind of living the behavior is what kind of I got to it. Like they're not even understanding change or stuff like that.
They're kind of in the same. They're doing the same behavior that is going to end up changing, right?
Right.
Yeah, because in the contemplation stage is when they start actually like thinking about making a change and start kind of in that process. But the pre-contemplation is just like them living it right now. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And then is that action next?
Preparations next.
Preparation. Okay. I'm still opening it. Sorry.
Um,
That's when you like start thinking that, okay, I could make a change and maybe even making plans, but you're not quite to where you can take the action to do it.
Yeah, I think that was like also kind of evaluating your options, like what things you can change and what the outcome or benefit or maybe not benefit will come from the action.
Yeah, I think it's specifically like, I think it's interesting that they use specific time frames. Like pre-contemplation is that you don't intend to take any action for like 6 months, and then contemplation is do intend to take action within the next 6 months, and then preparation is like within the next 30 days you plan to take action.
Yeah.
Even in like the maintenance portion, I was surprised that maintenance had to be longer than 6 months. And action was just what you were doing in the first 6 months, but like maintenance actually took the time.
Yeah.
Over 6 months, you know?
And then the last one's the termination, which means that like there's no temptation to relapse and you're 100% confident that you can maintain this behavior. Yeah. So, and then it talks about self-efficacy and how throughout the whole, all the stages that is your, like what drives you to keep going. It's the power that you have to keep progressing.
Yeah, this one had a lot of constructs because it had like what we just talked about, and then it had the process, and then the decisional balance.
There's a lot of different processes too.
Okay, so do you think that's a good enough summary of that infographic? I feel like we covered it pretty well.
I think so.
Okay. So then the next step is to discuss, like we were saying, all those processes and how they relate to the stages of the model.
So like this, like the 6 month time frames.
It's the like the consciousness.
Oh, the processes. Oh, okay. I see.
The process
Dramatic
consciousness raising.
I think that there wouldn't really be any for pre-contemplation, because during pre-contemplation you don't really see a problem with your behavior, you know? So it would be hard to identify a process of change in pre-contemplation, but in contemplation, I think that's where consciousness raising that's where that one comes into play. Like when you start learning new facts and tips and seeing that there may be a benefit from a potential behavioral change.
And that might be the case with most of these, because it's like realizing through your environment or your own evaluation or
Oh, right.
Yeah.
so I think you're right on with all of them not coming into play.
Is this for the chart, the graph right here? Is that what we're talking about? Or
Yeah. The trans theoretical model.
Well,
We're talking about the process.
yeah. So the stuff that was on the infographic, we've already discussed, but then they want us to discuss like the specific processes of change, which is mainly just in the read.
Some of them are listed on this infographic.
Oh, are they on the bottom?
A few of them are, not all of them. Actually, yeah, most of them are.
Oh.
Do you see them?
I didn't notice that, yeah.
The little bridges.
I see. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, now I'm like, oh, the answers are right there.
But yeah, you're right. So consciousness raising, dramatic relief, and environmental reevaluation are part of pre-contemplation, bridging processes to help advance in these.
Like the counter conditioning and the reinforcement management and stimulus control probably go more with like the action stage.
Yeah, because the counter conditioning is where you substitute like a healthier alternative for what you were doing before. That would be like an action item. And increasing reinforcement management is increasing the rewards for your behavior change.
Yeah, that would be like toward maintenance, I guess.
Yeah. And then stimulus control would, be in maintenance too, because that's like removing reminders or cues to engage in that unhealthy behavior. Like taking things out of your life that tempt you to still have that behavior. So that makes sense. Okay. So I think that covers that pretty well. The next thing that we need to talk about is what kind of interventions, like centered on the processes, move people through the stages.
I think that environmental is a big one because it's hard to change a behavior if you don't change your environment.
Yeah.
And health education. I think that has to do a lot with even like if you don't know that there's something wrong with your behavior, you're not going to contemplate changing it. So I think health education is a big one too.
Yeah, especially like in the pre-contemplation with health education, they need to know that like there even is something that they need to change first, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah. I think the helping relationships one is an important one too, because that's where you get that social support. You can get a lot of intervention through that.
Yeah.
Or even the cultural one could come into play too, because our behavior is based on what we believe and the people we surround ourselves with as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
the stimulus control kind of goes along with that too, where you remove. That's kind of environmental too. Like, reminds me of taking one of the examples. Says like take out unhealthy snacks from vending machines. So it's like removing those reminders from your life that make you want to engage in that. So that's kind of the same.
Yeah.
Okay. You guys think of any other ones, or do you think we should move on?
It sounds good to me.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Yeah, we can keep going.
Okay. So part 2 is where we need to choose a scenario. And so as a group, read through the scenarios below, choose one of the scenarios, and discuss how you can apply the trans-theoretical stages of change model to your chosen scenario. So I'll read the 2 scenarios, and we can choose which
Oh, we only
one.
have to pick one? Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is for the application assignment, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Does say, well, we'll talk about that in a second. But okay, so scenario 1 is you are a health educator on the BYU Idaho campus working with a group of young men who are spending in excess of 16 to 20 hours per week playing violent video games. These young men are struggling academically at school. Upon initial interview with these young men, none of them feel they have a problem and are happy with the amount of time they spend gaming. Scenario 2 is you are a health educator on the BYU Idaho campus. Your roommate or spouse is struggling with depressive symptoms but is not seeking help. How do you use the trans-theoretical stages of change model to develop interventions centered on the processes to move him or her through the stages? Then it says that in order to do this one, you would maybe need to do some preliminary research on working with individuals with mental health issues. So we can choose that one if you guys feel like we know enough about that target population. But if
I
not,
think
maybe we should.
mental health is very obscure and kind of tricky.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm kind of in favor of scenario 1.
Me too.
Good.
Okay. So using the 8 interventions, centered on the processes, what we need. So we need to develop interventions to.
For each
So they're very much in the pre-contemplation. So,
Yeah.
like we were saying, like you were saying, the behavioral intervention.
For the pre-contemplation?
Yeah,
I think
'cause-
that they. Sorry,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No, you're fine.
I said I think if that the young men are in pre-contemplation, and the only way to get them into contemplation is showing them like that there's either 1, different video games that they can play, or 2, decrease their playing hours so that they can see what they can do with those other 16 to 20 hours per week and see that they can be actually more useful.
So would health education be that intervention?
I feel like it would be. Health education, I think so.
For the pre-contemplation. That's kind of what I think too.
Yeah.
What do you, Lauren and Emily, think?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get out, but it wasn't being very successful.
Oh,
That is a hard thing though to teach, like, because it's kind of common sense. It seems, I don't know, seems like they would need more motivation, but that would
you
come
educate them on like the negative effects of the violence.
Yeah. Well, and I think it sounds
Yeah.
like a lot of the problem. I mean, it does say that it's violent video games, but I think, well, that would have to do with it too. But I think it's specifically the amount of time that they spend that's causing them to neglect like their school.
I think it's the time playing that affects the grades right now with this behavior.
Yeah.
So I think it's helping them see like that time could be better used somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the most important part.
Yeah.
So with when explaining the intervention, so that would kind of what we would say for that one would just be like trying to help them see
Yeah.
that their time would be better used somewhere else.
Yeah. Maybe like, well, yeah. This would probably maybe fall in a later one.
Well, it also says that their grades are dropping, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it could be you studying to help raise their grades. And that might even be, I mean, this is also in the future, but that could be a reinforcement management is the raising of the grades.
Yeah. Maybe this would be better for contemplation. I think it probably would. You start out with the health education, and then I was thinking if they could start to like, you could get them to track their, like have a more physical representation of the time that they're spending gaming versus the time that they spend studying. They could like keep a record of it somehow. That might kind of motivate them and like help them to see.
Like it's more visual.
Yeah.
That makes
I
sense.
think it's a good point because they might not even realize like you could sit down in front of Netflix and spend 5 hours without even knowing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they realize it. That's the pre-contemplation part, I think.
So what was that intervention called where you track it? It was a behavior one.
Let me see. Yeah, behavior modification, keeping records for a certain period of time and then analyzing their behavior. So that would be for contemplation, you think?
Yeah.
What was that intervention called again?
Behavior modification activities
For which one?
for contemplation,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
because that's a little beyond just pre-contemplation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too, because it's actually changing a behavior.
So what would be like the explanation for that part of it, the intervention with the behavior modification?
I think that's what Lauren was saying with having them keep a physical record of the time they spend studying versus the time they spend
Oh yeah.
on video games.
So then they can see it actually for themselves.
Yeah, so it's a more visual to help them, because it sounds like they just don't realize maybe how much time it is, just to help them kind of see it better.
Yeah, agreed.
I think we have the 3 interventions for pre-contemplation and contemplation, right?
Yeah, that's
What?
what's on the application table.
Yeah.
What about like finding alternative activities for when they do have downtime, like finding alternative ways to spend their time.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, that could also be maintenance, I guess.
Well,
That could be the preparation though, because then they're seeing what they actually need to,
yeah.
what
I think-
activities they need to change, and then they kind of are knowing what they're gonna do to make the change.
What intervention was that? Remake.
I'm just looking at my table. I think. What about like social activities? Then it would be providing an environment where they could have an alternative activity
Yeah.
and like meet people and be social.
Mhm.
So that'd be environmental.
Social activities.
Because then they can meet people that aren't going to be just playing 16 hours of video games.
I could see it being environmental though too, because that one says like that these strategies help create a health enhancing environment by making the healthy choice the easy choice. So it could be both, maybe.
Yeah.
Let me see.
They could also like, this would be, oh, well, I guess that'd be a social activity too, but create like a study group so that they have someone or a group of people that kind of like keep them, what's the word? Like
Held accountable.
Yeah, someone to hold them accountable for that.
So, but would
Would
that,
it
so can we move that into action then too with social activities? Like just continue on with that, or?
Yeah, probably.
Would it be too much of a stretch to call that cultural change? Like if you are creating a new culture away from the social norms of the video games?
Yeah.
Because I guess it'd be like, it's probably their culture of their friendships and their apartment probably, so it would be changing it.
Yeah. So that one's called organizational cultural activities.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to find my chart that has all my interventions in it, and I can't find it. Are you guys looking for the book?
I'm just looking at my chart.
I'm trying to find my chart right now.
So with the cultural one for like the action, that would be trying to get them to like, I guess, change, actually making the change of their cultures of their apartments and stuff, I guess, right? Or what would be more specific?
Yeah, just changing the social norms in their circle.
So would it be environment? I think environmental could be in that one too.
Yeah, I mean, we have to put environmental somewhere. We've got a lot of spaces to use it.
So you want to move on to the maintenance parts then, like the counter conditioning and stuff?
Yeah. Maintenance.
So with counter conditioning, that's like retraining them to like, I guess, kind of conditioning them what they would do like in a video game setting. Like they're gonna maybe say no, so you're gonna teach them like how to say no to playing so much or stuff like that. So did that fall under like behavior modification or?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that.
Kind of like retrain, I guess, their behaviors almost is how you could say it.
Mm-hmm.
Probably find other alternatives to just video games. Side.
Okay. Well, helping relationship would be the social activities, wouldn't it?
I think that would. I would have a lot of peer influence.
What do you girls think, Emily?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get back to
So I'm a little bit confused because are we supposed to find which interventions fit best? Because I think we have all of them and they're similar explanations, regardless if it's in maintenance or contemplation.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. I think the social is important no matter where it's at.
We're supposed to find a different one for each thing.
Well, there's not enough.
Last week I had a
Yeah.
lot of the same ones, and I still got 100 on my application.
you put a lot of what?
This week I had a lot of the same ones. Like last week, I think I mainly had a lot of health educational strategies. And I mean, there's not enough different interventions to go for all of these. So they're going to have to repeat themselves.
Yeah.
I think it just is finding whatever one works for that certain part that you need to fill out on the graph or the box.
In which case, we could reuse social and environmental for the maintenance because
Yeah.
those are long-term changes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What?
Because like with helping relationships and reinforcement management, like I think those are the same, like social and the environmental. I just don't really see a big difference between like helping relationship and like a reinforcement management with people. Oh,
Do we have one for stimulus control or not yet?
I didn't put anything down for reinforcement management. Yeah, I was wondering what you girls wanted to say.
Reinforcement management. Increasing the rewards for the positive behavior change and decreasing the reward for the unhealthy behavior.
Would behavior modification activities fall with the rewards?
Was my face not showing the whole time?
A little bit.
I don't know. I wasn't checking.
I had my thing closed.
Sorry, my thing, my Google Hangouts just shut off and turned back on, so I hope I was on the whole time.
I think you
Your
were.
voice there, and you have to like type the names of people who were here, so they'll know you're here.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, because it literally just disappeared, and all I saw was black, and then I came back and my face was on the screen, so I was like, okay, that just happened.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think behavior modification would work for the reinforcement management room. They just feel like with the behavior change, they'll start seeing rewards like in their grades and life. So that'd kind of be like the reinforcement for it.
Yeah, isn't the behavior modification like a reward? I can't remember how they said it, but a reward-based intervention?
I don't know. Mine,
Well, kind of, because it says this strategy is based on the stimulus response. Oh, in social cognitive theory, stimulus response seems like it would be that, like, what you're, like, the consequence of your action. So if it's positive, then you're going to get a positive reward.
Yeah. What would we put for social liberation aside from like the social activities?
Realizing that the social norms are changing in the direction of supporting the healthy behavior change. Besides the what? What did you say, Emily?
Like the social activities or the cultural? I think those two are the main social interventions.
Yeah.
So for I think social activities for the social liberation.
Yeah, either social activities or cultural organizational.
That's true.
I might would say the organizational cultural activities just because it specifically talks about, like that one specifically talks about the norms changing, and that's what that social liberation is
Yeah.
more geared towards.
Okay, sounds good to me.
Well, was that the last of it?
Yeah, for the chart.
Yeah, and I think that's all it said in the thing for us to do the relevant. So I think that's it. We just have to decide who's going to be the group leader for next week.
Do we have
Next
a
week, guys?
next week?
Oh, I don't.
I thought we just did it for 3 weeks.
Oh, let me see.
I don't know.
I'm not sure though.
It just
I
says
just thought
step
that's
4 is decide who will be your group leader for next week.
Let me look at the relevance for next week. I don't think, wait. I think we do have it next week.
Oh.
Yeah, we do have it next week. We have it in lesson 10. Let me see if we have it in lesson 11. Oh. I don't know if we have it in lesson 11, but we do have it next week.
Okay. Yeah. I could do it. If you want to send me that link of how to do it, then I could do it for next week.
Okay.
And Lauren, are you good to submit the assignment for us?
Yes.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, so I'll do that tonight, and then I'll do the same thing you did last week. I'll just email you guys once I've submitted it.
Okay. Well, 7:30 next week then.
Yeah.
Sounds
Okay, sorry I confused you guys today because I was like, okay, we're meeting at 6:30, and that's right when I got to work. Then I was like, crap, we're meeting at 6:30 Mountain Time. That means it's 5:30 my time. So sorry if I confused you guys.
No,
It's
you're
fine.
fine. I just got confused because I was out and about, and then I wasn't following the text messages well enough.
I know when I checked my phone and there were 14 messages, I was like, crap, I have messed this thing.
You missed it. Brian, let's add you in the group chat. What is your... Wait, I don't know how to add someone. Crap. We might
I
have to
can
start
email it to you.
Okay,
I
yeah,
can
email it to
email it.
us and we'll start a new group chat.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
Have a good
Okay,
night,
we'll see you.
guys.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.